Hello to all viewers. Hello to everyone. I am Shiloh, the last scribe for the house of Jacob. I am a messenger and a true servant of the Almighty. On November 29, 2019, the Almighty will visit the earth to judge every living thing. On that day, every living thing will be given life or death. This video is part 20 of a series of videos titled The Book of Genesis, Unsealed and Untold. These series of videos cover everything in the book of Genesis from chapter 1 to chapter 50. With all the confusion removed, with all the allegories removed, in these series of videos you will hear the truth according to the Almighty, according to what the Almighty commanded the house of Jacob to keep recorded. So I will start where I left off. Let's begin video number 20. The brothers did as Joseph commanded. Joseph's brothers spoke among themselves, saying, "We are very guilty concerning our brother Joseph. When he sought our favor, when he sought our mercy, we would not consider him. We did not observe his anguish of his soul. Now because of it, this distress has come upon us." Reuben responded to them, saying, "I told you not to sin against the child, but you did not listen. You would not hear, and you would not consider. Now his blood is required of us." They did not know that Joseph understood them, because he spoke to them by an interpreter. Joseph turned away from them and wept. Then he returned to them again and continued conversing with them. Joseph took Simeon and restrained him in front of their faces. Then Joseph commanded his men to fill their sacks with food and corn. Joseph also commanded his men to put every man's money back into his sack. Joseph commanded his men to give them food for their journey. This is what Joseph did for his brothers. So they strapped their asses with the corn, then they departed away from there. At the inn for lodging, as one of them opened his sack to give his ass some food, he noticed his money. He looked and beheld his money in the opening of the sack. He spoke to his brother, saying, "My money is restored." Another brother spoke, saying, "Look, my money is restored in my sack also." They became afraid, and their hearts grew faint. They spoke to one another, asking, "What is this that the Almighty has done to us?" Afterwards they had come into the land of Canaan, and unto their father Jacob. They told him all that happened to them, saying, "The man who is the lord of the country is hard-hearted, stubborn, and fierce. He spoke roughly to us. He believed us to be spies of the land. We responded to him, saying, 'We are men of good manners. We are honest and upright men. We are true men. We are no spies. We are 12 brothers. We are the sons of the same father. This day, one of our brothers is missing, and the youngest is with our father in the land of Canaan.' Then the man, the lord of the country, spoke to us, saying, 'Leave one of your brothers here with me. Then leave away to take away food for the famine of your households. Then bring your youngest brother back to me. This is how I will know you are true men. This is how I will know you are men of good manners. This is how I will know you are not spies, but indeed you are honest and upright men. Then I will deliver your brother to you, and you can trade and travel in the land.' As the brothers emptied their sacks before Jacob, every man's money was in his sack. When they saw, and their father saw the money, they became afraid. Their father Jacob spoke to them, saying, 'Joseph is not here. Simeon is not here. Now you will take Benjamin away? You have robbed me of my children. In this matter, all these things are before me and against me.' Reuben spoke to his father, saying, 'If I do not bring Benjamin back to you, you can kill my 2 sons. Put Benjamin under my authority, and I will bring him back to you again.' And Jacob responded to his son Reuben, saying, 'My son Benjamin will not go there with you. His brother is dead, and he is left alone.' If trouble comes to him along the journey, then you will have brought me down into the grave in sorrow. Now the famine was very massive and grievous in the land. When they had eaten up the corn they brought back from Egypt, their father told them to go again to buy themselves a little food. Judah reminded his father, saying, "The Lord of the land solemnly protested against us. He told us that we will not see his face unless our youngest brother is with us." Judah continued speaking to his father, saying, "We will go to Egypt to buy food if you send our youngest brother with us. If you do not send him with us, then we will not go back to Egypt, because the Lord of the land told us, we will not see his face unless our youngest brother is with us." And Jacob responded, saying, "Why do you deal worse with me? Why did you tell the Lord of the land that you have other brothers?" And the brothers replied, "The Lord of the land demandingly asked us about our family. He asked us if our father is alive. He asked us if we have another brother. And we told him according to his questions. How could we know that he would ask us to bring our youngest brother back with us?" And Judah spoke to his father, saying, "Send the young boy with me, then we will together, so we can live. And we and our little ones will not die before our time. I will protect him, so from my hand you can require him. If I do not bring him back to you and put him in front of you, then I will take the blame forever. Now, if we were not still lingering around here, by now we would have returned back there a second time." Jacob spoke to them, saying, "If it must be so, now do this. Get some of our best products, a little balm, a little honey, spices, myrrh, nuts, and almonds. Then put them in your sacks. Carry them to the Lord of the land for a gift. Take the money that was put back into your sacks and take double that amount into your hand. Carry it back there with you just in case, as an oversight. Take your brother Benjamin with you and go back to the Lord of that land. May the Almighty, the all-supreme ruler, the creator of all things, give you mercy in front of that Lord of the land, so he can give your other brother back to you along with Benjamin. If I lose my children, so be it. I am robbed of my children." Jacob's son took the gift and doubled their money along with Benjamin, and they went back to Egypt to stand in front of Joseph, the Lord of the land. When Joseph saw Benjamin with him, he spoke to the servant over his house, saying, "Bring these men to my home. Prepare food, because these men will dine with me at noontime." And the servant did as Joseph commanded. The man brought the brothers to the front of Joseph's house. Now the brothers were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house. They spoke one to another, saying, "We are brought here because of the money that was in our sacks from the first time. Now he can charge us. Now he can take us and our asses for slaves." They came near to the servant over Joseph's house. They conversed with him at the door. They spoke to him, saying, "O sir, we did not come here, or we did come here the first time to buy food. But when we came to the inn for lodging, we opened our sacks. We saw that every man's money was in the opening of his sack, but we have brought it back to your hand. We cannot tell who put our money back in our sacks, but we have brought more money with us, so we can buy food." And Joseph's steward spoke to them, saying, "Do not fear. The Almighty, you and your father's all-supreme ruler, has allowed treasure to be put in your sacks." Then he brought Simeon out to be with him. Afterwards, the man brought the brothers into Joseph's house. He gave them water, and they washed their feet. He gave their asses some food also. And they heard that they would eat food there at noon, so they prepared the present ahead of seeing Joseph. When Joseph came home, they brought their present into the house and gave it to him. Then in front of him, they bowed themselves down to the earth. Joseph asked them about their welfare. He asked them if their father was still alive. He asked them if the old man they spoke about was doing well. They bowed their heads down in respect. Then they responded, saying, "Our father is still alive, and he is in good health." Joseph lifted up his eyes, then he saw his brother Benjamin. He asked him, "Is this your younger brother, who you told me about?" Joseph spoke again, saying, "The Almighty be gracious to you, my son." Now Joseph became very emotional, and he quickly moved to find somewhere to weep. So he entered into his chamber and wept there. After he stopped himself from crying, he washed his face and came out before them. He spoke to his servants, saying, "Set out the bread and bring out the food." The servants set out food for Joseph, and the servants set out food for them by themselves. The Egyptians did not eat with Joseph, because the Egyptians will not eat bread with Ibari, according to custom. It is wickedness to them. Indeed, the Egyptians may not eat bread with Ibari, because that is considered an abomination. The brothers sat in front of Joseph. It was the firstborn according to his birthright, then the youngest according to his youth. And the men wondered with amazement at each other. Joseph took from his contributions and set gifts to his brothers that were before him. But Benjamin's gift was 5 times as much as any of theirs. They drank with Joseph, and they were very happy with him. Then Joseph commanded the steward of his house, saying, "Fill these men's sacks with as much food as they can carry." Joseph commanded them to put every man's money back in his sack. Joseph commanded the steward, saying, "Put my silver cup in the sack of the youngest, along with his food and corn money." Joseph's steward obeyed his command and did according to what Joseph told him to do. As soon as the morning had light, Joseph's brothers were sent along with their asses. Then Joseph commanded his steward, saying, "When they are gone out of the city, and they have journeyed not far away, you get up and pursue those men. When you overtake them, you say this to them: 'Why have you rewarded evil for good? Is this not the cup that my Lord drinks from? Is this not the cup that my Lord observes as an omen? Is this not the cup my Lord uses to tell fortunes? You have committed evil by taking his cup.'" So Joseph's steward obeyed him. And when he overtook them, he spoke Joseph's same words. Joseph's brothers responded, saying, "Why has the Lord of the land spoken these words? The ways of the Elohim are far from us. The Almighty forbids his servants to do such things. Therefore, it is far away from us to do according to this thing. Look and see. The money that we found in our sack's opening, we brought that back to you. How could we steal silver or gold out of your Lord's house? Whosoever of us it is found with, let this man be put to death, and we also will become the Lord of the land's slaves." Joseph's steward responded, saying, "Let it be according to these words. The man that the silver cup is found with will be Joseph's servants, and the rest of you will be blameless." Then every man took his sack down to the ground immediately and opened them. Joseph's servant searched. He began with the eldest and stopped at the youngest. The silver cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then the brothers began to tear their clothes from sorrow, and every man tied their sack to their ass as they returned to the city of Egypt. Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, and Joseph was still there. They fell onto the ground before him. Joseph spoke to them, saying, "Why have you done this? What you do not know is that a man as I can certainly see the future. I can observe omens. I can foretell fortune." Judah spoke to Joseph, asking, "What can we say to the Lord of the land? How can we clear ourselves? The Almighty has searched and found sin among his servants. Now we are all servants to the Lord of this land." And Joseph responded, saying, "The ways of the Elohim are far away from me. The Almighty forbids me to do according to the thing you have spoken. But the man whose hand the cup has been found in, he will be my servant. As for the rest of you, You get up and go in peace to your father." Then Judah came near to Joseph. Judah spoke to him, saying, "I pray that the Lord of the land will let me speak a word in his ears. You are as Pharaoh. I pray you do not let your anger burn against this servant. You, O Lord of the land, asked these servants, saying, 'Do you have a father or a brother?' We responded to the Lord of the land, saying, 'Yes, we have a father who is an old man, and he had a child in his very old age. Now this child's brother is dead. Therefore, he now is the only son of his mother, and his father loves him. You commanded us to bring him to you so you can look at him. We spoke to you, the Lord of the land, saying, 'This young boy cannot leave away from his father's house, because if he should leave his father would die before his time.' You responded to us, telling us, 'We will not see your face any more except that our youngest brother is with us.' When we came to my father, we told him the words that came from you, the Lord of this land. Our father commanded us, saying, 'Go there again and buy us a little food.' We responded, saying, 'We cannot go back there except our youngest brother be with us. Then we will go back because we cannot see the face of the Lord of the land without our youngest brother be with us.' My father spoke to us, saying, 'You know that one of my wives gave birth to 2 sons for me. One of those sons departed away from me, and I believe he is torn in pieces by a beast, because I have not seen him since he departed away. If you take my other son from me, then trouble will befall upon me, and you will bring my gray hairs along with my sorrow down to the grave with me.' Now, seeing how my father's life is tied to this young boy's life, when I come before my father and this young boy is not with me, when my father sees that the young boy is not with us, he will die prematurely. Our father with his gray hair will go down into the grave from his sorrow. Concerning this young boy, I gave my father assurance. I told him that if I do not bring him back to my father, then I will carry the blame forever. Now, I pray that you will let me stay instead of the young boy. I will be a slave to you. Let the young boy go back to our father with his brothers. How can I go back in front of my father and the young boy is not with me, unless I go back and see the evil that will fall upon my father?' And Joseph could not restrain himself in front of all of them that stood by. So he caused every servant that stood by him to leave away from his presence. Then, when no servant was standing beside him, he cried. Joseph made himself known to his brothers. As he wept aloud, the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh paid attention to the sound of crying, and they listened with interest. Joseph spoke to his brothers, saying, 'I am Joseph. Is my father still living?' His brothers could not answer him because they were nervous and very disturbed. Indeed, they were terrified at his presence. Joseph continued speaking to his brothers, saying, 'I pray that you come near me.' So they came near. And Joseph spoke to them, saying, 'I am your brother, and I was sold into Egypt. Do not be grieved, nor angry with yourselves that you gave me up to be sold here, because the Almighty did send me here ahead of you to save lives. These 2 years the famine has been in the land, but there are 5 more years that there will be no plowing or harvest. The Almighty sent me ahead of you because he has preserved you and saved the final portion of your descendants to be on the earth. Now, it was not you nor the Elohim that sent me here, but it was the Almighty. And the Almighty has made me a prince to Pharaoh, and I am Lord of all his house. The Almighty has established me as a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Now you go quickly. Go to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph says. The Almighty has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come here to be with me, and do not wait. You will live in the land of Goshen, and you will live near me, you, your children, your children's children, your flocks, your herds, and all that you have. There is another 5 years of famine, and I will nourish you and all your household, and all that you have. If you deny my request, you will come to misery and poverty." Joseph continued speaking to his brothers, saying, "Look, you can see me with your eyes, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin can see me. You all see that it is my mouth that speaks to you. You will tell my father about all my glory, all my abundance, all my honor, all my riches, and all my reputation in Egypt. You will tell him about all that you have witnessed. You will move quickly and bring my father to be with me." Then Joseph cried upon his brother Benjamin's neck, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Then Joseph embraced and kissed all his brothers, and they wept upon them. After this, his brothers talked with him. Their sound was heard and became famous in Pharaoh's house. The servants of Pharaoh began proclaiming, saying, "Joseph's brothers have come here." And this pleased Pharaoh, and he thought good upon it. This pleased all the servants of Pharaoh, and they thought well upon it. Pharaoh spoke to Joseph, saying, "Tell your brothers to do this. Tell them to load their asses and get themselves into the land of Canaan. Get your father and all his household, and come back to me. I will give them the good of the land of Egypt, and they will eat from the abundance in the land. Now you have been commanded to do this. You will take wagons out of the land of Egypt to bring their little ones, their wives, and your father. Do not worry about their stuff, because the good of all the land of Egypt is theirs." So the sons of Jacob did so, and Jacob gave them wagons according to the commandment that came from Pharaoh. And for their journey Joseph gave them food according to their manner of living. He gave all of them clothing, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of clothing. For the journey, Joseph sent 10 asses loaded with good things of Egypt to his father. For the journey, Joseph sent 10 female asses loaded with corn, bread, and meat for his father according to his manner of living. Joseph spoke to his brothers, saying, "Make sure you do not get lost on your journey, nor turn away from your manner of living." Then Joseph sent his brothers away, and they departed. They left from out of Egypt and came into the land of Canaan, and unto their father Jacob. The brothers spoke to their father, saying, "Joseph is still alive. He is Lord over all the land of Egypt." And Jacob's heart fainted, because he did not believe them. They told him all the words Joseph spoke to them. And when Jacob saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, Jacob's spirit was renewed. Jacob spoke to his sons, saying, "It is enough. My son Joseph is alive. I will go and see him before I die." And Jacob took the journey with all that he had. He came to Beersheba. While he was there, he killed an animal and offered it as a sacrifice to honor the Almighty, the all-supreme ruler of his father Isaac. In the night, in a vision, the Almighty spoke to Jacob, saying, "Jacob." And Jacob responded, saying, "I am here." This is the end of part 20 of my video series titled The Book of Genesis, Unsealed and Untold, that covers my manuscript titled The Almighty, the Beginning, His Creation of Mankind, His Promise to Judge Mankind, His War against the Elohim, His New World, and His Order. I am Shiloh, the last scribe for the house of Jacob. Watch my videos, follow me, and discover the recorded truth about the Almighty, His power, His glory, His honor, His reputation, His experiences with, and His message to all the individual species of persons on the earth.